The Season 2.5 balance update makes sure dive compositions are nerfed into the ground and will no longer be dominant in the game. This patch moves towards a new poke meta, so let's discuss a bit the changes here and why that is the case. Now for Vanguards we have a decrease in survivability for Captain America, lower base health, higher shield recovery rate, more energy cost for the ultimate. Captain was really hard to take down, he was a dive tank, now he will no longer be able to dive so easily. Now I don't know and I don't feel like these changes will make him no longer viable, I think he will still be viable but the intention is clear, a less powerful dive Vanguard. Doctor Strange gets an increase in damage range with a better damage follow for his basic attack and no damage follow for his explosion. So here more range which means a better poke. Things are obvious for Emma which gets an increase in her basic attacks range which is good for poke, but less damage from her kick, more cooldown for her grab and less shield. See, it's obvious the intention is to move away from a brawl playstyle and more towards a poke, stay back and trade playstyle. And wait, I said things are obvious for Emma. Well, for Thor they are even more obvious because Thor now becomes an awakening bot. His hammer throw no longer costs Thor Force and generates 1 Thor Force for each enemy hit, which means that Thor will now be able to do, you guessed it, poke. It will be a viable option to sit back, pop up Awakening, poke with the Awakening, then throw the hammer, regenerate Thor Force quickly and then pop up Awakening again. It basically turns Thor from a dive, wait for that moment, isolate and annihilate type of hero to a sit in the front line and trade blows one. Basically it kills his entire identity. Last thing for Vanguards in case you are not convinced the devs are trying to kill the dive is the new team up between Rocket and Penny Parker. While in the same team, Rocket's beacon will now spawn a web, basically acting as Penny's nest, spitting out mines and drones, and Penny unlocks a new armored nest which can be used at the same time as her normal nest. So basically with this team up you can have 3 nests with webs that spawn mines. 1 nest was tough for divers before, now with 2 nests, yeah, that's pretty much over if you have this team up. Looking at Duelists, things are pretty obvious here as well. We have buffs to Hawkeye, Hela, Squirrel Girl and Punisher, all poke and control heroes. For Hela, her ammo count increases from 8 to 10. This might not seem like a huge buff, but the reload, which is quite long, is the biggest weakness of Hela. That's the only downside, that if you hit reload it takes a while and you're out of combat for that duration, but giving her 2 more projectiles it basically reduces her downtime and reduces the chances that someone might escape because she has to reload. Hawkeye gets a straight up damage buff with a buff in his focus mechanic, now charging a bit faster. Squirrel Girl also gets 2 more acorns as ammo and Punisher gets 10 more bullets for his assault rifle, a damage boost and reduced spread while firing. And who gets nerfed? Human Torch, which is a semi-dive hero, Iron Fist, Psylocke. Again here the message is that we encourage you to pick up heroes that sit back and poke, thus encouraging the poke composition that was popular in the beginning at the launch of the game. And for strategists, they completely reworked Jeff to be a sit back and heal type rather than a mobile hyper-aggressive dive healer type. I have another video covering all the Jeff changes, make sure to check it out. So why all these changes? Why heavily encouraging this poke playstyle? Well, because the devs have data that we simply do not have about player retention and engagement, and we need to consider that the majority of the player base are casual players. 17% of players are in Bronze 3, meaning that they either never played competitive or they rarely play and improve. And to those players, dive compositions are the most frustrating. If you are at a higher level and you have some knowledge of the game, yeah, you know how to react, how to position yourself, how to counter these dives. But imagine for a casual player, an Iron Fist comes to them, they don't know that you should not attack him while he blocks, you get erased in half a second and you don't know what you did wrong or how to stop dying in 1 second. The point of the game, unfortunately, is to retain as many and for as long as possible most of the players. This is why we also have engagement-based matchmaking. But of course, I may be wrong. For competitive games like Rivals, Overwatch, the balancing is a very complicated and delicate process, and it's very rare to get it perfectly right. Things are cyclical. We started the game with a poke-heavy meta, then we shifted to a dive-heavy meta, and now we're back to poke, and so on. Is this update disastrous? Well, if you liked the old Thor and Jeff, then yeah, it is disastrous because those heroes lost their identity. But overall, honestly, I don't know if it's disastrous or not. I guess we'll see in the number of players by the end of Season 2.5. So this wraps it up, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like and a sub to the channel. If you didn't, let me know why so I can improve, and let me know what do you think of the new poke meta and of the balance patch in season 2.5, and I'll see you in the next video.